Hey, what's up everybody? This is C.L.S. All-in-One. In today's video, I will show you how to install a drop-in bathroom sink into a Formica countertop. So one of the most important steps when installing a sink such as this is making sure you cut the hole the correct size the first time. Because the last thing you want to do is ruin your new countertop. So the first step I start out with is making a template for the sink opening. Now depending on the make and model of your sink, you may already have a template packed in with your sink, which will save you a little bit of time. To make your own template, a piece of cardboard works great. I simply just flip the sink upside down, then trace the outside edges of the sink onto the cardboard with a pencil. Then I draw another line approximately 1/2 of an inch to the inside of the line I just traced. But this measurement may vary depending on the width of the outside flange of your sink. This particular sink also has an overflow in the front that ends up flush with the outside flange, so it will have a small cutout in this front area. To cut the cardboard, you can use some light-duty shears or a utility knife. So now I have a sink template, but before I use this, I need to test fit this on the sink first to ensure this is indeed the correct size. And as you can see here, everything looks good. Now it's time to measure exactly where I want the sink to be located. When determining the sink placement, the measurements will vary depending on the size of your sink and countertop, but there should be at least 2 inches of space left between the front edge of the sink and the front of the vanity. Once the template is in place, you can tape it down to keep it from moving, then use the inside edge of the template to draw an outline onto the countertop. Now I would like to mention, for anyone worried about the countertop chipping, you could put some masking tape down first onto the countertop in the area where the outline will be to decrease the chances of chips happening in the Formica. Before I can start cutting the countertop with my jigsaw, I need to make a starting point for the blade. For this, I'm using a 3/4 inch spade drill bit to make a hole on the inside edge of this outline. Now I can use my jigsaw with a fine-tooth wood blade to start cutting the countertop. So all I'm trying to do here is follow the outline on the counter and go nice and slow to keep the blade from getting in a bind. And I'm going to go ahead and fast forward the rest of this cut because it took a while. So I'm just about done cutting the countertop, but I still need to cut the area where the overflow is located for this sink. With most bathroom sinks, just cutting a circle or oval is all that's needed, but this is a custom order sink that's slightly different. All my cuts are now done, and it's time for a test fit. And it fits just like it should. Now I want to show you an up-close look at the cuts I just made. You can see there's a couple small chips in the Formica, but this is not an issue because the sink flange or edge will cover all these chips. And again, you can use masking tape on the countertop to avoid these chips if it's a concern. I would also like to mention that there's no faucet holes precasted in this sink, so I will have to measure and drill holes into the countertop with a 1-inch spade drill bit to mount the faucet. Okay, it's now time to glue down the sink. For an adhesive, I'd recommend a kitchen and bath caulking with the color of your choice, which should clean up easy with just water and a sponge. So I am applying a 1/4 inch bead all the way around the edge of this opening. And depending on your sink style, you may need more or less caulking, but you want to make sure there's enough adhesive to squeeze all the way to the outside edges of the sink when placing it in position. And you should also make sure to have a bucket of water and a sponge ready to clean up the excess adhesive. Now I will use my thumb and lightly press into the edge of the sink where it meets the counter and go all the way around. This will help ensure the edge is completely sealed. This step might get a little messy, so just have a damp rag or sponge ready to wipe the caulking off your thumb. Now I will grab my damp sponge and lightly start wiping off the excess caulking, and this will take a couple passes. And in between each pass, you should rinse the sponge in water, then wring it out till it's just damp again. A damp rag will also work for this step, but I do prefer using a sponge. So the goal here is to wipe away the excess caulking to the point where it's only filling the gap right where the sink meets the countertop. If you have a haze or film from the caulking still present on the counter after wiping with a sponge, you can just use a dry cloth to wipe this away, but be careful not to come in contact with the wet caulking. And after waiting approximately 12 to 24 hours for the adhesive caulking to dry, you can begin connecting the sink drainage and the sink faucet. As you can see here, I had to drill holes in the counter to mount the faucet, but in most cases, your sink will include faucet mount holes. Okay, it's now time for me to go. If you liked this video, if you could, hit that like button and subscribe, and have yourself a great day, and I'll see you next time.